And joining us now, Brian Pilarcik. So Brian, it's good to be back. We've been on the outdoor show here a bunch of times in the past.
Been a number of times.
We got a fun topic today, though. So let me have you throw it out there.
Sure. So we're getting ready for the Pymatuning Lake Habitat Project. This is a project that's been going on since the mid-1980s on Pymatuning Reservoir, and it's led by the Pymatuning Lake Association, Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, the two Pymatuning State Parks, Ohio and Pennsylvania, and then a whole pile of volunteers over the years. But the whole idea with the project is it's to provide habitat within the lakes. We're actually building structures that will be placed in the lake with volunteers, and then taking those out and putting them in the water.
So my family has a cottage over at Canadota Lake, and I'm over there probably once a week all through the summer or whatever. And there's little bitty fish just right on the very edge, right where the lake hits our front grass there, or whatever. And I assume the fish are there trying to avoid the big fish, so the big fish don't eat them, right? Is that what this is about?
It's exactly what this is about. So these structures that are being built in Pennsylvania, they use a lot of natural materials, wood and stone. And the materials are put together, and it's almost like, I tell my kids, it's like building Legos with wood. We put the structures together in such a manner that it provides a lot of cover and a lot of hiding spaces for smaller fish. And then the smaller fish that are hiding inside of it draw the larger fish, and the larger fish are what the fishermen are looking for. The other thing with the natural structures, the wood and the rock, is that they get covered with algae and paraphyte, and that's also a food source for those small fish. So those small fish are looking for cover, and they're also looking for food, and then the larger fish are coming to find them. So it's a win-win situation.
Now this is going to be kind of a bizarre question here, but sometimes the big fish eat the small fish. Do they even eat their own same breed sometimes? I mean, I thought I heard that one time. Was it muskies or something that even the big muskies eat the baby muskies sometimes?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure exactly how much they eat their own kind, but usually something that's smaller than they are.
But the bigger fish is going to go after the little fish, because that's, just the same as, if you throw a fly, if you're fly fishing or whatever. We're coming up this weekend on the fly fishing tournament over at Oil Creek, and we just did that, that for a show here, I guess it was about a month ago, whenever we did the recording of that. And I'm going to be tied up this weekend, so I don't think I'm going to be able to go to get, but it's playing now, and the high school teacher that was there, teaching the kids, it's like we put a mesh thing in the creek, and then kind of kicked around in front of it, and stuff washed up on it. Yep. And then he was like, okay, so now here, it looks just like dirt or whatever. He says, no, this is what the fish want to eat. They want to eat this bug right here,
Exactly.
And so we were talking about all the different flies and everything that that's. So it's like, if they can eat a baby fish, that's a whole lot easier, I guess, to catch, than maybe a fly or whatever that's like ducked into all the mud and everything at the bottom. So it's like, this whole thing is about protecting the fish so they can grow up, and so the fishermen are going to have more options down the road, right?
It is, and it's also, these structures a lot of times are put into reservoirs. So the difference between a reservoir and a lake is a reservoir is an artificial man-made impoundment. So we impounded in Pymatuning's case, it was a large swamp. That was impounded into the reservoir. Woodcock, it was a stream valley that was impounded into a reservoir. Other lakes are natural structures. Conneaut Lake, Canadota Lake, Sugar Lake, those are all natural kettle lakes from the glaciation that came through. The difference between the two is that natural lakes have a lot of cover within them. So whether it's rock, whether it's good weed beds, there's lots of natural cover. Reservoirs, a lot of times, by their very nature, a lot of the area was cleared before they were made into an impoundment, and then a lot of the wood structure in these older reservoirs, the wood decays, it dissolves. There's not as much wood left. In Pymatuning, there's still a lot of wood, but there's a lot of open, flat areas with no cover whatsoever. So the idea here is to provide artificial stumps, artificial brush piles, artificial rock piles that are out there in those wide open flat areas that normally don't have any type of natural habitat because of the structure of the reservoir. We're putting that habitat into them and creating things that will replace the dissolving and decaying wood structure that was there from the 1930s.
So some of the structures, so there's going to be some construction, right? And they're almost going to be like cages, right? And so in addition to a cage, like a pile of rocks or whatever, I mean, the fish can get, the little fish can get in there, but the big fish can't get in there and get after them. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the whole idea with cover is that you're providing an area that small juvenile fish can get in and around. You're also providing ambush structure in the form of weed beds and things like that the larger predators can hide in. The small fish are trying to move around within them. So yeah, we're trying to provide the more complex structure that you have within either a stream or a river or a reservoir or a lake, the more capacity that you have for having a good fishery. You want it. Structure is the key to fishing. There's always that old adage that if you're not getting snags, you're not catching fish. We're providing the snags, but it's also providing a place for more fish.
Now, we're here at your office here, which is right by Woodcock Creek, which is right over that hill right there, and the lake is right over here to my left.
Yep.
I had my dogs out for a run the other day at the other end of the creek. That's the game lands, the game lands part of it. That's their favorite place to be or whatever.
Yep.
All over the place. As we were going down the old blacktop, the old 198 that kind of runs down the center of it there, fish kept, so I'm assuming that is this a breeding season or something? Or they're right on the edge in the shallow water and stuff?
There's a lot of fish right now that are spawning. So this time of the year, fish are congregating, and it is spawning season. It's spring, so things are happening right now.
Is there any special fish that's like a woodcock? It's kind of like Pymatuning was the big walleye thing. Where we are, Canadota, there's muskies. That's a big thing for muskies over there. Woodcock Creek's big on the trout. that comes up for trout season. Is the other end of the creek? Is that anything special? A certain breed?
Woodcock Lake it's known for muskie. It's known for bass. There's some large smallmouth bass in there, walleye, crappie. So a good warm water fishery.
I talked to a guy, I said, man, I saw a whole bunch of fish, and he said, oh, it's probably walleye, because that's I guess that's maybe what they do is they get in the real shot, and it's like
start moving up the stream.
The water, I mean, I could see the little things on their back, sticking up out of the water, and then I come past with the dogs and they'd splash, and would go out into the deeper water or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like there were just a ton of them. I mean, they were just all over the place out there. That was amazing.
I do remember in high school being able to see the walleye moving up Linesville Creek. Our biology teacher would take us down to the creek during the day, and you could see fish moving up through the creeks this time of the year, or even earlier than this. So they're definitely moving. They're moving towards the water that's the incoming streams and whatnot. So.
Okay, so down the road, this kind of thing is going to keep going on here for a while, and it's going to be like this particular one this year is going to be more on the Ohio side, or is it going to be the whole? So
the neat thing with this project, and the earliest records I could find for the Pymatuning Habitat Project were from the mid-1980s. And there were actually a couple of articles, and it was talking about actually using tires and cabling tires together and putting them in. And if you've been up to the upper end of Woodcock Reservoir in the spring, there's piles of tires up there.
You can see it when the lake level's down. You can see that stuff. Yeah.
That was a technique that was used back in those days. It's not recommended now. The tires will actually leach chemicals out of them. It's not a great habitat.
Okay.
But at the time they thought we have tires, we have cable, this would be a great habitat idea, and things change. We learn from our experiences. So from the mid-1980s, they started putting in habitat in the reservoir. Ohio and Pennsylvania, this is one of those rare circumstances where two states, there's really no disagreement in how to manage these resources. Ohio and Pennsylvania have been working together for a long time. The local people actually have sort of what's called the State of the Lake meeting every year, where representatives from Ohio and representatives from Pennsylvania come together and look at the overall conditions of the reservoir. They look at the fishery components of the reservoir, and they talk to each other about how to best manage it together. They've been doing that for the habitat portion of this since the 1980s, and it's really, I always say it's so rare to walk into a room where you have so many different interests from different states and different agencies, and everybody feels like we've known each other for decades now, and everybody sits in the room, they work out the best results for the reservoir. Nobody's saying I need more in Ohio, I need more in Pennsylvania. It's always, hey, we've got our habitat plan, where's the next best site to do a habitat project? And where this comes from is Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission put together a habitat management plan for Pymatuning Reservoir. They have one for Woodcock Reservoir, Tamarack Reservoir. There's habitat plans for a lot of our reservoirs and lakes that are around. That habitat plan is a prescription for improving the habitat within Pymatuning. So they might prescribe we need 50 porcupine cribs, which is a type of structure in this area, or we might prescribe we need 25 short vertical plank structures over here, or rock rubble humps here. And they did this for the entire reservoir, and then you sort of pick at that every year. You say, okay, we've got habitat crew, we've got funds that are able to be used for this much wood or this much rock or this much block. Where's the best place for us to work out of? They come up with it. Last year, the plan was the Ohio Campground is a good place because it was a close proximity to where one of those points were that they want to do the porcupine cribs. So it's a matter of working through the habitat plan, and it's a long-term plan. This has been going on since the 1980s, and it has a lot of work to still be done. So it's a neat project that's been going on for a long time, and like I said, it's very unique that 2 states, there's 4 different agencies, and there's a volunteer group, and they sit in a room and nobody's saying we're not getting enough on our end. Everybody's saying how can we do more for the reservoir. It's one of the best projects that I've been involved in my 23 years of service at the district, and I really enjoy being part of the process and watching those agencies work, and then being able to work with them to make this happen every year.
One of the things you mentioned, there was something I wanted to ask you about. How does the funding? I mean, you got to buy material like to make this kind of stuff you're going to make. How does that happen? I mean, is there grants for that, or?
So it comes from a number of different sources. Ohio Department of Natural Resources provides some funding. A lot of times they'll buy the block for these projects. Fish and Boat Commission has money that they can put into it for materials and things of that nature. A lot of the money comes from the Pymatuning Lake Association. So right now you're seeing the tournaments that are happening, the crappie tournaments, the walleye tournaments, the fundraising. They've done a magazine for a number of years, and ways that the Lake Association raises money. That money is generally put directly back into the reservoir in the form of these habitat projects and other service projects around the reservoir. So a significant portion of this comes from Pymatuning Lake Association and the work that the volunteers do through that. This year, the project was actually awarded a grant through Bass Pro Shops, and more will be coming out on that in the near future. But a pretty sizable grant that Fish and Boat Commission applied for, received. It's a federal grant, and that money is going to be able to put back into the reservoir over the next couple of years. So a lot of funding sources and a lot of people working to make this happen.
We covered the walleye tournament here for the outdoor show. I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago. But that was some of those fish were like really,
Yes.
really big. And so this is going to support the fact that now walleye like a little shallower water and a little bit warmer water, and then the muskie like deep water and cold water, right?
It really depends on the time of the year and what they're doing.
Okay. So this is going to support more fish, and it's going to help the fishermen out, right? To get out there.
Right.
Okay.
So it's the tournaments are providing a recreational source. It's providing a way for folks to get out. That's providing funding to be able to put back into the reservoir, to build more structure, to rear more fish, to be able to catch more and bigger fish. The neat thing is watching the biologists too, looking at their surveys. The biologists in both Pennsylvania and Ohio, behind the scenes, are doing surveys, throughout the year, and surveying the population, surveying the sizes, trying to work through. There was I don't know, it was about 20 years ago. They were having some trouble with the size of the walleye and the quality of the walleye, and they worked through that problem, discovered what the reasons were for it, and then tried to correct that. And over the years, we've seen large walleye, good catches, and the biologists are working behind the scenes. That's usually the folks that you don't see. They're back there doing the surveys and making the decisions and making our fishing better.
Now, when we were talking about the Oil Creek fishing tournament here, there was a lot of conversation about little kids, and all they're doing is whatever. And let's get them outside. Let me throw that to you. This is going to be a great way down the road to keep getting people out. This is Northwest Pennsylvania. This is a place where you need to be outside, right?
Exactly. A neat thing that the Lake Association does to promote that very thing is in August, the first first weekend in August usually, they have the kids fishing derby. And the last I remember, there were 300 or 400 kids that were coming to this each year. The Lake Association pulls in sponsors from all over to be able to have prizes for the kids. It's an amazing effort. It's all free. The kids sign up for it, they go out, they fish, they catch fish, they bring them in, they can have them measured, and then they have a chance to win prizes. They give them a free lunch. It's really a neat project that the Lake Association does, and again, it's trying to promote that future of fishing, get the kids out there, get them exposed to it, and try to help them learn so that they can become the next generation to join the habitat structures.
Now, is this one of those things where volunteers can jump in and help out and all that kind of stuff? I mean, okay. So you probably have a batch already lined up for this year, I'm guessing.
Yep. So volunteers come from all over the place. We've got a lot of agency folks that are there. Like I said, the state agencies that I mentioned earlier, a couple of different Crawford and Mercer Conservation Districts usually volunteer during the project. We have Lake Association has a lot of volunteers that they bring in. A lot of folks just come in off the street and come out and work with us for the day and help build the structures. The big group that we've had over the past, it's been a number of years now, is Conneaut Lake Middle School.
Wow.
Two teachers, Peg Jacobs and Brett McCartney, have brought out their students for this for quite a few years now. And those students, it just infuses that young generation into the project. We've got young legs and young arms that are out there moving the pieces of wood and the concrete blocks around, building the structures. The kids have a fantastic day out there, doing those projects, and they also learn something, and they learn about the process. So they're coming back again this year.
That's a great point, because they're figuring out now that, hey, down the road here now, there's going to be fish out here because of me, because I'm out here helping,
Exactly.
So that's a great thing. That's a super thing. Okay, did we miss anything? Is there anything else we want to let everybody know about this project?
That's the nuts and bolts of it. The fun part is the day of the project, where honestly, it is one of my favorite projects of the year. There's great people. It's a feel-good project for the day. Because you have local people, the Lake Association and the local people pulling this together, pulling in the state agencies from all over, from both states. Like I said, I've never seen so many agencies in two different states work together in a way that nobody's looking for what's in it for me. It's all what's in it for the resource. How do we best improve this resource? And it is really a neat team. So if folks have a chance to come out, we do it every year.
Well, Brian, thanks.
Yeah.
This is super. We're looking forward to seeing some footage of the thing going on here.
Looking forward to having the crew out there and be able to see how this works.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Joining us now, Chef Lisa Beck. So Lisa, when you have a bunch of baby fish out there and the big fish want to eat them, you got to come up with a way to save the baby fish, or else we aren't going to be able to have some fish for dinner sometime.
That's right, because the big fish eat the little fish.
And then the birds eat the little fish.
That's
and everything.
right. It's a known fact.
So making the little things for the
Sure.
fish, so the little fish. Now they were telling me that at a lake like Conneaut or like Canada or whatever, like a natural lake,
Right.
there's like rocks and stuff.
Little nooks and crannies.
And the fish can hide in those
Right.
things. But in like Woodcock, Pymatuning,
No,
Tamarack,
man-made lakes.
they're not there.
Right.
So like I look at Woodcock every year. For years they've thrown the old Christmas trees in Woodcock specifically for that.
Right, so they can hide in there.
But
Yeah.
this was really fun. They have volunteers that were actually building these little barricades, I guess you'd call them, so that the little fish could get in there and be protected until they can grow up to the point, where they can be. So it's like for our fishermen out there, I don't think that would work very well unless this kind of stuff goes on. So
True.
that was
Very
awesome.
true.
That
Very
was
true.
really awesome.
If we want to make a fish dinner, you gotta
You gotta have fish.
That's right. You have to have the product to be able to
I always
do it.
wonder about that. Like, do mom and dad fish eat their own baby fish?
I think they do. I only know that because we had a fish tank, and when they had babies, we had to put greenery in there for them to hide in.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that's the only reason I know that. That was years and years ago.
So the baby fish are growing.
That's great. That's what we want.
Yay.
That's what we
So
want.
what were you thinking of today for a recipe?
We're doing Pan Seared Cod.
Oh, cool.
Now, typically I would do this in maybe a cast iron, but we're going to do it in our little pan,
Okay.
and it's going to be just fine. So
Okay.
I'm not too worried about that. We have about 2 tablespoons or more of oil, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. It calls for 3 cloves, good-sized cloves of garlic, minced well, but I do 2 because it gets a little overwhelming. I want to
Oh,
taste the
okay.
fish. So I have about 2 in there. And then we have a nice little some cherry tomatoes, just a container of them. I washed them, cut them in half, and of course, it's always nice to cook. I mean, we drink it a little bit, but
white wine.
cook with a little bit of dry white wine.
Yay.
So we have about 1/4 of a cup. So that's going to get us started. So
Okay.
we've got it on at about a medium.
Can I stir?
Please do.
So can I use this left-handed thing in my right hand?
You can use the
Okay.
left-handed utensil in your right hand. So let's get some oil going. This is olive oil,
Okay.
and we'll turn it up a little bit, get that warm. And like I said, we're going to start with the red pepper flakes
Okay.
and the garlic, and then just until it's about fragrant, which isn't going to take long, then we're going to throw in the wine and the tomatoes, and we'll cook the tomatoes until they're starting to blister. We want them to cook
Okay.
down a little bit, but not too much. And then we're going to throw in about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice,
Okay.
about a tablespoon of lemon zest,
Oh, okay.
a little salt, pepper for seasoning, and then about a teaspoon of sugar, just a
Okay.
little sweetness. So we'll get that going here. If you want to turn that on there, I'll turn it up just to get it going and sizzling.
I can feel the heat.
Yeah, oh, it's hot. It's gonna, yeah, as soon as I put this in there. But I just want those peppers to start a little bit. We do have it all the way up, yeah. Okay, so let's put some garlic in there. I knew we'd get some sizzle once I did that. We just want about a minute. We don't want to overdo the
It's
garlic.
almost a little boiling there.
Yeah, we don't want to
Okay.
overdo the garlic because we don't want it to brown. So if it looks like it's starting to do that, we'll throw in our tomatoes and our 1/4 of a cup of dry white wine. We like to drink it, but sometimes we cook with it.
Okay, yes.
So they're going fast. So we'll get that in there.
Now they're really sizzling.
Yeah. It already smells really good.
It does.
We're going to
It
put
really
some
does.
wine in there. And we just want those tomatoes to get started. Just have to keep adjusting that.
Now what do they look like? They're not going to brown, right? They're going to
No, they're just going to blister and
like curl up,
soften.
like
Yeah.
curl up. The skin's going to curl up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to soak up some of that juice. I just
Okay.
keep chicken there. I don't want it to be too high. And so we'll give that about a minute or so, and we'll watch. We'll see it. And then we're going to add the lemon zest, a little salt and pepper, and the sugar. And then what we'll do is we're going to take that out, and then we're going to put the cod in there.
Okay.
Maybe with a little bit more olive oil if we need to, but I think the pan's going to be okay. So
Do the tomatoes, do they lose some of their orange when you get them to start to
no.
get the skins to curl up? They don't.
No,
They don't
no.
lose the orange.
And actually,
Okay.
the recipe that I've seen with this was they used yellow and red.
Oh.
So yeah, and
interesting.
they look
Okay.
the same in the end. So I don't think we're going to have to worry
I
about
know
that.
we have some yellow ones planted in our stand-up garden this
Do
year.
you?
Yeah, some
Great.
yellow ones. So
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I wouldn't mind adding some yellow ones to the mix. How's your garden? Is it going?
it's really going great.
Yeah.
it's going great. it was like that long stretch of no rain.
No, yeah.
And then a big stretch of rain.
Yes.
So that, you know, so everything
evened
was,
out.
so everything was water every day, and then
Then
it's
we
like,
got a little break. I know. I felt that
don't have the water, yeah.
those few days. I'm like, whoa, I don't have to go back out there. So no, I understand. And you can see they're just starting to soften up a little bit.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And that's what we want. I mean, we don't want tomato sauce, you know, we don't want to cook it down. We just want them to be nice and soft.
Okay.
And then they're absorbing the wine. Of course, the alcohol cooks out. But they're almost there, so.
Yeah, it was almost like sort of May this year, and then the first part of June was almost like the end of July and the beginning of August. You know,
it's
no rain. That never happened. I don't
Yeah.
ever remember that happening before.
Well, we usually have winter and then it goes right to summer. You know what I mean? That's what happened last year. Or we have a lot of rain for a long time. June, for years, was cold.
Oh yeah.
You know, but
oh, yeah.
things are changing again, I guess. I don't know. I'll take what we've had because we've had some nice weather.
I had typically the grass really starts growing, and I mow, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and right off the edge of our deck, the dogs go diving off, and there was one section. It was just all the grass was like gone. It was just dirt, you know.
Sure.
So I got some topsoil, and I put the topsoil down, and put some grass seed, and cover it with straw and everything. And I was having to water it every day. Well, I haven't had to water it now for the last week now.
Okay, we're going to add the lemon juice. It's going to slow things down a little bit. And the lemon zest, which gives it, I mean, if you're going to use lemon, use the zest, because that's where you're going to get all your flavor.
Okay.
I mean, lemon juice is great, don't get me wrong, but the flavor is in the zest.
Boy, that really is a great smell.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're going to add some pepper, about a fourth of a teaspoon, and a little bit more of salt. I use the coarse salt. Look, it's thickening up a little bit.
It sure is.
And then we're going to add this sugar, so we're going to get a little sweetness.
Okay. I see some of the tomatoes, the skin's
Yeah.
kind of coming off partially.
And then we cut up some fresh basil from the garden. So we're going to put that in there. I mean, it called for, about a fourth of a cup or so. I just pull it out of the garden and start cutting it.
Okay.
Fresh is the best way to go when it comes to those herbs, but you know me, I have them.
That same thing is happening in our house with the basil.
That's right. Just can't go wrong with that. So we're going to give that just a few more seconds, Dwayne, and then we're going to pour it in here.
That really smells great.
Yep, it's going to go over our cod.
That is really nice.
So I'm going to turn it down just a little. And about 20 more seconds, and we're going to dump that in here. Scrape it out. Wow. I think we're going to like this
The
one.
smell is just tremendous.
Yeah.
That is really great.
Okay, why don't we, now, you want me to scrape it and you turn it and turn it down. Be really careful. I want to get it all. We don't want to lose out any of this flavor.
No, that is super.
I mean, you could do this in a separate pan, but if you can do a one-pan dish, I'm always up for that.
So it's okay to have a little bit of it still in there for the fish to go in, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in there.
Okay.
So we're just going to set this aside. Let me turn it back up. Just do a little bit. Now I patted dry. You would do about 6 fillets, and I only got what I could get in the store. So I patted the cod dry, and then I salt and peppered it already, so we're all set there.
Okay.
And let me turn that up. And then we're just going to do, these are pretty thin. You'll see some are a little thicker than others. Probably about...
Is that going to be the right thing?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
We're probably going to do about 1.5 minutes on each side. You can see it's only about a little over.
It's pretty thin. That's
pretty thin, yeah.
Not even an inch thick, it doesn't look like.
Right, and we've got a couple that are a little more
Okay.
thickness. These are real thin because I cut them in half, so just have to watch. Get rid of this.
So just move them around a little bit so they don't stick, Lisa? Is that
Yeah, I mean, if they think it's too high, turn it down. It shouldn't. I'm gonna give it a good, at least like 1.5 minutes on each side, depending on the thickness.
So obviously the thicker, you want to give it a little more time, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
And you see that, like that one's gonna cook up a lot faster. You just have to kind of gauge what you got there. But this, I mean, look at that.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, and we're just gonna spoon that over it. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic.
The time to flip yet or not quite?
No, I wouldn't flip yet. I think give that this one for sure about 30 more seconds. We'll flip it.
Okay. So that one is the thinnest one
Yeah,
of the batch.
one.
Yeah.
Thinnest one's gonna go over.
But they aren't sticking.
Just a little.
Maybe just that thick one. So.
Yeah. Let's see what that one looks like when you flip it. Yeah, that looks
brown.
good. Yeah, that looks good. We want it to brown a little bit.
Okay.
So that's it's okay. And then I would say another 30 seconds and we'll flip that one.
Okay.
And then once you flip them, the other side cooks up rather quickly. So that's the nice thing about a fish dish. Fish dish. I feel like I'm in the Dr. Seuss realm here. They do. They cook quickly. Some of the things we've done before too with fish, you put them in the oven, let the oven heat up with it, and then they're done in 20 minutes. So yeah, you want to flip that one.
Okay, come on.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that looks good.
Just a little bit of browning on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I'd say we'll give those another minute, then we'll flip them.
Okay.
They look good. I think this is going to be a recipe people are going to like. And I think
that sauce is awesome.
yeah,
Wow.
and
Oh,
I
wow.
honestly, I think you could do this with any white fish.
Okay.
You know, cod happens to be the one of choice at the moment, and it was a pan seared cod recipe, but
Well, the one fish you couldn't do it with would be the one that the mother ate the baby.
that
Yeah.
is correct. Yeah, there's no fish unless you get the mother.
Well, yeah, that's a good
Why don't you
point.
try that one? Let's see what that looks like. That looks great, and that you might as well flip the other one. And those other two are probably almost done. Yeah, just make sure they're not sticking. Down just a little bit. So much for a non-stick pan.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm thinking you could probably pull that one out.
Okay. Here?
Yeah, you can just set it here. Oh, you know what? Wait, I take that back, Dwayne. That is not part of the recipe.
It's going to go in,
We're gonna
go in
pour-
with some sauce?
We're going to pour the sauce over it and let it warm up with the
Okay.
fish. But I want this one to cook a little bit more, so I did turn it down. Yep. I was thinking maybe if you pop that one on top of there, then it wouldn't overcook.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
just for the sake of
We'll make a pig pile.
that's
Okay.
exactly right. Yeah, and we're turned off there. So, yep, just this. I'm thinking just a little bit more here. We don't want undercooked fish. This isn't sushi today.
Okay.
We're not doing sushi, so we don't want to cook it. But and it's going, so that's good.
It is bubbling. Yep.
Yeah, got a little unevenness here. There we go. Just enough to taste test, Dwayne.
Yeah.
It's gonna make us a nice lunch.
Right.
I'm gonna have you flip that one, just because I just want to see that one side get a little more, and that's fine.
We want to flip the other thick one?
Yeah,
or-
why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
And then I'm gonna pour the sauce over it. I'm gonna put them all closer in the middle.
Just a little bit of brown on each.
Yeah,
on
and
each
that's
outside.
perfect. So we're gonna put we're gonna pour the sauce over
Yay.
it. Okay, I am gonna turn down because I don't want it to all evaporate. So look at this. Just to let this warm up with it. Let's show our viewers.
That is really something.
Doesn't that look beautiful?
It sure does.
And, well, I was going to use a spatula to serve, but I think we'll be okay. I actually don't need the big plate. What do you think?
That is really great.
Shall we try?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just cut a little bit from each end. Get you some of that goodness. Look at that fresh basil. You can smell it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I don't want to set that one there. Don't burn yourself, Dwayne.
Wow.
Whoa. This smells fantastic.
It is fantastic. That is really great.
That's restaurant quality right there. We could open up a restaurant.
There you go.
We could.
Crawford County Outdoors Restaurant. How
That's
about that?
right.
That's a good idea.
Chef Lies in the kitchen.
Well, thanks for all the volunteers who put together all this fish habitat project. That was awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for the awesome recipe here. And thanks, folks at home, for joining us today. And I'm going to finish my fish here.
Me too.
This is great.
That basil and lemon.